All right. I guess my other question, man. So like in the headline of your live, it says easy to avoid, right?
Right.
So what do you mean by easy to avoid?
We could solve this
Like make
problem.
it easy.
We could solve this problem in the United States pretty easily. We could solve most of our problems. There's a fake complexity placed on top of most of America's problems. Um, and that's an obfuscation of our political class just not doing their job. And you have to go out and you have to have honest conversations with the American people. But the fact of the matter is, we can't afford to keep doing Social Security. We got to build an off ramp for Social Security. My initial plan to get rid of Social Security would be this: everybody say 55 and older, maybe 50 and older. I don't like to include myself because I'm 51, so I feel like it's shitty for me to go everybody my age, and so let's say 55 and older. But you could say 50 and older. Um, Gets to collect Social Security. Nothing changes for them. Everybody below that age group, say take the next, you divide this up into age brackets, right? Say the next 15 to 20 year age bracket, so like 49 to 35, somewhere in that range. All those people get offered some form of a buyout. Here's what your projected Social Security benefits would be, assuming you continue to pay at roughly the same rate, getting a whatever percent pay raise every year. Here's what your life expectancy is. Here's what your Social Security benefit looks like. We're going to buy all of you out. You're going to get 50% of what your projected Social Security benefits were going to be. But you get that right now as a cash lump sum payment to you. Then those people still have to contribute into the program. So those people are going to pay for the next generation of retirees, the 50 plussers who are going to just go into Social Security, into the Social Security system. Everybody below the age, 35, 40, whatever you want to make that cutoff, those people can just opt out of the program. And in order to make the liberals happy, well, what about people they don't invest, whatever, blah, 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 blah. In order to make those people happy, I'm going to say they opt out of the Social Security program, but the company still has to contribute 6.5% into an account owned by the employee that he is not allowed to touch until retirement age, but that he can direct the investments thereof. So, like a 401k match, without him contributing to a 401k, he gets 6.5%. What these companies are already paying into the Social Security program and payroll taxes is now just going into an account owned by the employee himself. The benefit for the people who get the buyout and the people who get to opt out, is those benefits become something you can just invest into an IRA plan and leave to your significant others. It doesn't just go away if you die. Um, the benefit for the young people is they'll just be significantly financially better off investing in the market than than in Social Security.
Right.
And if they want to go buy
Yeah, I've
treasuries or
heard
bonds
numbers.
or something like that, they can certainly do that. But you've got to build an off ramp to Social Security. You got to get that off the books. So now you've gotten rid of that. Medicare needs to be dissolved at the federal level and completely turned over to the states to manage. Like Medicare's done. Sorry, old people, let the states figure it out. And we're not going to take that payroll tax anymore. We're not. There's no Medicare tax. You're not contributing that, so that money goes back into the local coffers. But the federal government's out of that business. You deregulate healthcare back to probably once you get rid of like all these reserve requirements and all the stupid rules around healthcare. You fix the healthcare system pretty easy. You get the federal government out of secondary education, so that the prices come down on the market. You can set prices on that, and then once you've done that, once you've fixed and reformed the entitlement programs, now you can actually balance the budget. You reduce the
Right.
regulatory burden and allow us to make things in this country again affordably so that we can actually compete on a regulatory environment with the rest of the world, and you could actually grow your way out of the situation. We can fix these problems. We just don't have the political will to do it. And I've said this a million times. This will be my last point on it: is you will choose austerity or it will be forced upon you. And we're getting to that it's going to be forced upon you point pretty freaking quick. And we can still solve this problem without causing a ton of pain, but we're running out of time.
Ryan, I really do like your idea, honestly, man, because there's been a lot of conversation about like it's kind of like a ship on its way to crashing the shore, the whole Social Security, Medicaid, all that. like how do we solve it and something like that, like a staggered program based on people's age. Um, I like your line of thinking, man.
Well, I think you
Um,
can't leave the people who are on Social Security right now. You can't just pull the rug out from underneath them. You can't take a person who's five
right,
years away from
right,
retirement and go, nope, we're not doing this anymore. You gotta
exactly.
maintain. And then the other thing is if you're going to retrench and not be this global military power, you can cut military spending by 3, 4, 500 billion dollars a year and reinvest that into solvency for this program.
Yeah, so I think it is smart to have like there's no perfect plan. It's almost like choose the one that hurts the least.
Right.
And what you lined out sounds pretty good to me.
And then I think at the
Um,
other end of it is the let's get back to the promise of leaving a country in better condition for our children, right? And say, look, I'm willing to make that sacrifice. I'm willing to take a 50% buyout on my Social Security, continue to contribute to the plan as if I'm going to get Social Security to take care of my parents, right? And then I want to unburden my kids from having to take care of me. And that's the American
uh,
promise. And I think that you get I think a lot of young people would get behind a message like that. And I don't know, as a Gen Xer, I think a lot of us would be on board with that all right, let's suck it up and do it. Like I think my generation would be willing to do something like that. I don't think we're in the desperate situation that the boomers are in right now. When I say the boomers are in a desperate situation, that's kind of a whatever. But um,
I really
we have enough time to not be reliant on Social Security. I think a lot of people in Gen X have looked at Social Security and said, well, that's not going to be there for us anyway. We've already planned our retirement to not have it.
I'm a millennial. I'm 35 actually, and I'm not expecting to be able to get it because I've heard so many headlines and nothing makes financial sense. It's not mathematically possible for me to get any anyway. So why don't we just have a plan like you just outlined?
Well,
We
I'll
might
tell
as well
you,
just have a plan.
the alternative plan is a terrible plan. The alternative plan is the Democrat plan. The Republicans have no plan. They're just like it'll all work out. They have no
It's
plan.
not. It's not gonna work out.
The Democrat plan is to raise the cap, is get rid of the Social Security cap. So I don't know how much you know about Social Security.
Not much.
Okay, so there's an income cap. I think at $187,000 now is what it's at. So you don't pay Social Security taxes above $187,000. So if you make $300,000 a year, $400,000 a year, $1 million a year, you're still only paying Social Security taxes on 187,000. But you only get benefits on 187,000, right? So to me, that's very fair. What the Democrats want to do is eliminate the cap and say even though you're not collecting benefits on this income, that income is going to be subject to the Social Security tax. That just simply converts Social Security into a welfare program. It's a tax of hundreds of billions of dollars a year in tax. That's going to have a deleterious effect on the economy for sure. The revenues aren't going to meet what they think. Like I said, it just turns Social Security into a welfare program, and I just oppose that on its face.
Yeah, because it all of a sudden under that plan, the money doesn't go directly back proportionately to the people who are paying into the.
Well, and I think that with all that extra money, because our politicians have always been very disciplined with our tax dollars, they've always been really good stewards of our tax money.
No, they're not.
Right, exactly.
Good one.
So,
Good one.
so what they'll do, well, my perception of this is they'll just grow the Social Security program. They'll just get more people on the program. What you'll see is the number of people on Social Security disability skyrocket, and that money will get chewed up. They'll change the requirements. They'll make it easier to get on Social Security. Maybe they'll lower the retirement age. They'll do a bunch of bullshit with that extra money. The program in 10 years will be just as badly at risk with more people dependent upon it, and a much higher tax burden on really, if you think about it, if you're lifting the cap and you're going to tax these high income earners, you're taxing engineers and surgeons and doctors. Really, some of the most productive people in our economy are the people who are going to be paying the most. It's just a bullshit plan. But I think honestly, I like my plan, but I think the Democrat plan. What I think is going to happen is that the Democrats are going to win the midterms, although the DSA thing might hurt them. The Democrats are going to win the midterms, and they're going to get their raise on the cap in return for passing some version of the SAVE Act. That's my prediction.